Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman are the two most important comic books on the market. They are much-needed revitalizations of iconic characters that have begun to grow stale over the years. When you look at Spider-Man and Batman mainline comics, we're looking at over 2,000 comics in the main canon. If we go further and just look at books in general, you're talking about like maybe 5,000 comic books between the two of them. And if you're talking strictly appearances, over 10,000 books have these two characters in them. 10,000. These guys have been everywhere, depicted as many different things across many different timelines and many different universes, which may have you wondering, then why are these two books especially special? You know, if there have been many different things in many different timelines over and over again, how come these are the two books people have gravitated to? If Spider-Man and Batman have had Elseworld tales and what-if stories outside of their main continuities, what makes Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman so special? These books managed to capture the eyes of the entirety of the comic book fandom in a way no book has since the early 2000s. When you can garner that many eyes on comics, you're probably pretty special. Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman are the most important books since the turn of the millennia, and this is why. The reason for each of their importance differs greatly, but make no mistake, they are both integral to the new age of comic book content we are receiving. Let's start with Spider-Man, you know, my wheelhouse. Why is Ultimate Spider-Man so damn important? What in these books makes it sell off the shelves so freaking much? Issue number 1 of the entire run got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 reprints. It was like LeBron James on the stage talking about how many championships he was going to win in Miami.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6.
7 reprints? Are you serious? What an ungodly amount of reprints. Like, legit insane. The book was sold out everywhere you looked. The book even still sells out an entire year into the run later. But why is this book so important to the survival of Spider-Man comics? Well, because Spider-Man comics are ass. Yeah, they suck. Amazing Spider-Man, utter trash. It is straight butt cheeks. Horrible. Booty, butt cheeks. Straight garbage. Then you got like Spider-Boy. More ass. You got Spider Society books. Booty. Ghost Spiders in 616. Buns. All of this is terrible. Superior Spider-Man even got another volume last year. They have no new ideas in the Spider Office. Outside of Miles Morales' Spider-Man, there is no other book in 616 that is universally regarded well for Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Man I personally like, but it's hit or miss for a lot of people. Miles Morales' Spider-Man is literally the only 616 Spider-Man book everybody's talking about. The rest of them are ass. If you're looking for a Peter Parker Spider-Man story set in 616, you're going to be looking for a very long time because that man has been gone since 2008 when One More Day happened. They never brought him back. What's going on now? Sucks. And yeah, you've got some great characterization for Peter Parker in various adaptations, but what was once the best-selling comic book on the market and was revered by all is now a book that sells a lot of copies to local shops and then just sits on shelves. Seriously, if you go to your local comic book store, you will probably find bundles of the Zeb Wells comic book run for Spider-Man there. At my comic book shop, they're offering like a deal if you want to get the entire run for like $50. It was crazy how cheap that is when you think about it. 60 issues. Each issue is about $4 to $5 each. It should be over $240. $50? That's even less than $1 an issue. You know why it sits there? It's because no one wants to read it. It's that simple. We don't want to see torture porn anymore. We don't want to see MJ being written by misogynists. We don't want to see Peter who can't move forwards in his life. We don't want to see Spider-Man make a deal with the devil and never undo it. That's not heroic. That's not relatable. No one wants that. This character is just pathetic. But then you have Ultimate Spider-Man, something the fans have been clamoring for over a decade now. The story promises fans a happily married Peter Parker with MJ and 2 kids. When it was announced this was an ongoing, fans were hyped out of the moon. What we all wanted most about Spider-Man, a man allowed to grow and move, finally is coming back. Instead of torture porn, we got a man who steps up when faced with opportunity to save others. Instead of a man who needs to be saved by everyone else, we have a man who actually saves others. 616 Spider-Man makes you look at your life and think, damn, thank God my life isn't anything like Peter Parker's life. This guy's life is fucked up. Ultimate Spider-Man inspired me to be a better person, however. 616 Spider-Man is no longer relatable. A married Spider-Man with 2 kids is somehow significantly more relatable than a man who's single. How? I don't understand how Amazing Spider-Man messed us up so badly. Why did he make a deal with the devil? You can't say he's relatable after that point-blank period. You just can't. And then this Spider-Man has real-world responsibilities as well. Not just like responsibilities he puts on himself. He has actual responsibilities. He has a full-time job. He has a wife and kids. He needs to make sure he takes care of these things in his life while also being Spider-Man. That's a hard life to juggle, but watching him do so, it's just so inspiring. And it was just like groundbreaking to me too. I read issue 1 back in January of 2024 when it first dropped. I still remember where I was the exact moment I read it. Oh my God, the emotions I felt when I was reading it, I still remember. I reread it over and over and over again. What Ultimate Spider-Man did was provide Spider-Man fans with exactly the kind of stories we had in Spider-Man's glory days, while also giving us a story we felt like we should have had all along. We were building to this. Spider-Man used to feature his supporting cast. They all had interesting dynamics with each other. Ultimate Spider-Man is no different. The first issue doesn't even have Peter as Spider-Man until the very end, and I still was hooked. It was just incredible world building. The story takes its time and lets the reader breathe as it goes along. Its pacing is very tame, but still fun. We have a totally different universe where all parties involved aren't exactly like their original versions. I mean, Uncle Ben is freaking alive. That's new. The writer Jonathan Hickman has taken his time to flesh out the characters and give us drama not only when they're action-packed scenes, but also when characters are just having conversations. The tension in these scenes is palpable. You see, we were supposed to have this in 616. Like, we were building to it, but due to constant interference from editorial, it slowed it down and took it away from us. Now they give us stories and they tell us we should like it because, hey, Spider-Man's still there. He's young and he's broke and he's relatable. But that's not what anybody wanted. No one wanted this. Ultimate Spider-Man is the cure to the disease that plagued Spider-Man comics for over a decade now. Fans needed this book. We needed a book not plagued by the editorial staff who thinks they are good enough to run a Spider-Man comic, because clearly they are not. They cannot tell a straightforward story that even makes sense without retreading old storylines. They are not cut out for the job. Ultimate Spider-Man is a perfect example as to why the people running 616 Spider-Man should no longer have a job. They are horrible at what they do and no longer deserve to be professionals in what they say their profession is. I'm that serious. They fucking suck. Ultimate Spider-Man is the breadwinner though, y'all. Unless some new massive title were to come out, Ultimate Spider-Man tops the list every month of comic sellers. Oh, but something did awesome come out. A new awesome #1. Absolute Batman also came out. Absolute Batman is something so great, while being nothing like Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man starts off showing you the world and all the characters in it. Some characters we haven't even seen again since the first issue. Spider-Man is learning to be Spider-Man. He just got bit for the first time at like 33 years of age. His morals are stellar and his comedy is peak Spider-Man humor, but it's the beginning of a Spider-Man story. Absolute Batman hits the ground running. The book is all gas. Batman as fuck. Bruce is younger. He's in his 20s. He's way more grounded. He's like a hard-working everyday man who works in various facets along the city so he can understand everything about the city and where he can hide if he needs to be Batman. Doing so allowed him to find the nooks and crannies in the city that nobody noticed, nobody knew of. This allowed Batman to operate in the shadows while being in plain sight. Abandoned skyscrapers, tunnels, the whole 9 yards. Bruce uses his time with the city to understand all the beats of Gotham. The book starts off and this wimp is hitting a punching bag. Then Bruce comes in like, "All right, kid, my turn." You're like, oh wow, now this is a man.
This is a man. A handsome, muscular man.
This Batman is what you want Batman to be. He's calculated as hell and plans for everything, and I mean everything. He uses his engineering abilities to make Batman's suit a weapon out of itself, using various detachments from it, constantly giving himself the upper hand. From issue 1 alone, we knew Batman, and this was Batman. To start off, the story is told mostly through Alfred's eyes so far, which adds to the lore of Batman. Much like us, Alfred is enamored with this man's abilities. In this universe, Alfred is not Batman's butler, he's a hired assassin. The pacing for the entirety of Absolute Batman so far has just been utterly amazing. The entire first issue was just non-stop action and then more groundbreaking reveals after the other. And then the subsequent issues afterwards, same thing. If there's action, it looks amazing. Batman's looking like a phenomenal engineer throughout, and then we're finding out so much of the story as well in the same time. The pacing for Absolute Batman is significantly faster than the pacing for Ultimate Spider-Man, but they're both amazing at what they do. Absolute Batman was needed in a completely different way than Ultimate Spider-Man was needed. Amazing Spider-Man comics actively make fans want to gouge their eyes out. Seriously, I don't even want to. I wish I didn't know how to read when I'm reading Amazing Spider-Man comics. Batman, however, he isn't nearly as bad. His books aren't really offensive to his fans. Instead, he's just grown a bit stagnant. His character has begun to get lost to the sands of time. As his character grows, he almost loses what makes him so iconic, right? I, for one, enjoy Bruce's growth from like a loner into the essential dad of 6 or 7 orphans. Like, I think it's really cute and it's really like enamoring. You have this dark, brutish guy, who ends up with an entire family again. I like that. But in the same vein, I do love the man that is alone and brooding in the dark, planning for everything and calculating everything cold and raw. You can't have that forever, though. This Batman is fresh and new because it's that. But it is not just that. We also know he is caring. He's not the same dark, brooding person he was in the original comics. We know he still has his mom alive and he loves her. He has acquaintances as well. He's not a man who has no one. This is a different Batman. One that can toe the line of being emotionless and emotional. I, for one, am stoked to see where these books go. Whether you're a Batman fan or a Spider-Man fan, you gotta read both of these books. The fan war shit is nonsense. Seriously, it's all nonsense, y'all. These are like the 2 best books on the market, if we're not counting the Ultimates, and I really believe you should check out these books, man. They both cover such a large spectrum of storytelling with hardly any overlap. You get so much from reading both. These characters are not their original counterparts, and that's good. That's what the fans want. Ultimate Spider-Man is so funny. He stands up for people in fights. He still loves MJ. Absolute Batman still is a genius. He still calculates every goddamn move. He still has his Commissioner Gordon. These characters are different, yet the same. As long as these characters embody what Spider-Man and Batman are, we are going to continue to be in the best time for comics of all time. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of both these books. I've actually been reading the entirety of the Absolute line and the Ultimate line. Just want to ask you, what is your favorite book out of this entire line? I think there's 7 comics currently going on. I mean, actually, I think there might be 8 now if you count Wolverine. So yeah, which of these is your favorites out of all these? Out of all these runs, which is your favorite run here? I'm very interested to know. I would also like it if you guys could check out the Patreon. I'd very much appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? We got some extra content over there you might enjoy. And I think that's going to be it for me in this video, though. Dunk out. Peace.